Good afternoon. I declare this meeting of the Morgan Spring Bay Council open at 2:03 on the 23rd of June 2026.
The Morgan Spring Bay Council acknowledges the traditional owners of our region and recognises their continuing connection to land, waters and culture. We pay our respects to the elders past and present.
Thank you. I welcome councillors and staff to this meeting and 6 members of the public in the gallery. Please be advised that this meeting is being audio and visually recorded. I ask that all attendees remain respectful and considerate of others, and I advise that offensive, defamatory or threatening language or behaviour to those present or listening is not acceptable. Agenda item 1.1, councillors present today are Deputy Mayor Simons, Councillor Walker, Councillor Young, Councillor Churchill, Councillor Edwards, Councillor Gregson and Mayor Sharrell. We therefore have no apologies. The 6 members of the, we'll go into staff. In attendance are staff, the Acting Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Dick Shaw, Director of Works and Infrastructure, Mr. Ron Sanderson, the Acting Director of Planning and Development, Tasha Tyler Moore, the Acting Director of Corporate and Financial Services, Ms. Danielle Tuck is online, Executive Officer, Ms. Isabel Clarkson, Ms. Shannon Mitchell-Moore, our Information Technology Officer, and Ms. Jill Dabrowski, Compliance Coordinator. We have 6 members of the gallery, 6 members of the public in the gallery, as I said. Agenda item 1.2, Mr. Shaw, I don't believe we have any late reports.
Confirming no late reports.
No, thank you. 1.3 is declaration of an interest in a matter of a councillor. As Mayor, I request elected members to indicate whether they have 1, any interest personally or via a close associate as defined in section 49 of the Local Government Act 1993, or 2, any conflict as described in the Model Code of Conduct for councillors in any item included in the agenda. Any declarations? No, thank you. Agenda item 2 is confirmation of the minutes. 2.1 is the ordinary council meeting of the 26th of May. There is a recommendation on page 6. Councillor Walker.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll move that the minutes of the ordinary meeting of council held on Tuesday, the 26th of May at 2026 at 2:03 p.m. be confirmed as a true record.
Thank you. Seconder, Councillor Gregson. Thank you. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? Carried unanimously. Agenda item 2.2 is the date and purpose of workshops held. There was one on the 9th of June. It is a recommendation on page 7. Councillor Edwards.
I move that the council notes the information.
Thank you. Seconder. Councillor Walker. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 3 is public question time. There are new questions. There are new responses to previous questions taken on notice. Agenda item 3.2 is responses to without notice, and 3.3 is questions on notice. There are new. 3.4 questions without notice. We have Miss Carol McQueenie, who has a question, and Mr. Jim Connolly, who has a question. Mr. Connolly, would you like to go first? Ms. McQueenie is happy for you to go first. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks. Is that on?
Not sure
No,
it's
stop
working.
working. No,
Mr.
no,
Connolly.
just,
I just have to speak
up. Okay. Thank you, Madam Mayor. My name is Jim Connolly. I'm a Hobart resident, but a regular visitor to the municipality, and my questions relate to the dog management policy that's being developed by council, and specifically in relation to the supposed restrictions on Raven Beach. I've been coming to the municipality for close on 50 years, I'd say, staying at various shacks and with friends. And I've used that beach many, many times. One of my friends who are here with me today the same. So the first, I've had two questions. The first question is whether council can confirm that the proposed draft dog management plan that I understand you'll be debating to authorise to go into public consultation. Did you confirm that that draft dog management plan does not apply a prohibited zone to the northern end of Revon Beach? Secondly, I noticed that in the council's agenda papers for this meeting, an officer's paper which asserts certain things that are very much in dispute, and that relates to the status of Revon Beach itself, whether it's public land, power land, or private land. The officer's paper states that council officers have confirmed that the ownership of land and lack of jurisdiction which Parks and Wildlife have, but more importantly, under the heading forecasted change, the statement says, since the time the document drafting and approval by Parks and Wildlife, it has come to council's attention that the ownership of Revon Beach is private, brackets not under council or Crown jurisdiction, as previously thought and used by the public. Okay, so that's the issue. And my second question is, on what legal basis has council purported to assert that Revon Beach is private land? And has any legal opinion been sought by council as to the status of the beach?
Thank you, Mr. Colley, for your questions. As I mentioned to you earlier, they will be taken on notice because it is an agenda item a little bit later.
Sure.
You've raised some interesting questions that have been identified by staff, and so we'll deal with all of those a little bit.
Can I expect
an answer for you in the next agenda.
a written response? Will you provide a written response?
We do provide a written response. If you provide that to Ms. Clarkson, it will go into the minutes of the meeting, and the next agenda will show your questions and officers' responses.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Ms. Waflini.
Yes, I'm going to have to read from my screen. I apologise.
I'm sorry.
I'm going to have to read from the screen, so I apologise.
No, that's okay.
Thank you, Mayor, for the opportunity to put my question. My question focuses on a very immediate, critical, strategic issue. That is East Coast Tourism Tasmania's recent publication of a blueprint for Triabunna Marina infrastructure development, causing confusion and concern across the community at ECCT's process and the outcome of their activity. Councillors are well aware of the sweep of concerns given the prior public and continuing, as I understand, petition and discussions across various community and local business forums. The Triabunna Marina is a council asset which belongs to community. As a working fishing port, it is critical to commercial fishermen, slip services, the marina, town businesses, as well as the Maria ferry operation. This question looks to establish a clear answer to all of those people's shared interest in what, if any, consideration council will give to the blueprint. As a strategic issue about a strategic asset, the question is directed specifically to elected representatives, not council management. The question seeks a clear answer on what consideration councillors will give to ECT's blueprint, including how community consultation, its council's community consultation, will be managed and progressed for both the Tribe Tourism Hub proposal that council endorsed in 2025, as well as ECTT's proposal. I'm very conscious that the question should be succinct, but a few basic facts are important for a shared understanding of the known facts that have led to the position where a small tourism marketing business without known infrastructure development expertise or any standard community consultation has published a blueprint for the development of a major council asset that is fundamentally different to the broad proposal that council advocated to state and federal representatives that focused on enlivening, developing the opportunity and community amenity for residents and community across the marina. So a few quick accepted facts, and they are quick
So,
points.
Mr. Quinney, can I ask you to provide that to council and ask your questions now? I'm sorry to stop you, but as you recall from being on council, there is only a limited time for public questions.
There's probably about 30 seconds left.
Okay.
For the context. In early 2024, the state government committed funding for the Tribuna Marina to council for the Tribuna Marina Infrastructure Development Project as part of a strategic agreement. State government then gave the ECT funding, gave the funding to the tourism company ECTT in mid-2004. Councillors were not advised of the change. Beyond council's representative on the ECTT, who I mention as the deputy mayor because that councillor is also located in Bishano at the furthest point from Tribuna, which focused on the project. In early 2024, councillors agreed and presented its tourism hub proposal to state and federal representatives. In August 2025, councillors only became aware of the ECTT work by chance, some years after council.
Ms.
I'll
McBurney,
go to my
I need to
question
stop you because you've made a statement rather than a question.
No, it's a fact.
Yes,
It's
I'm
not-
sure it is, but
Yes. So my question is, and I'll provide those other points for people. With ECT's blueprint having now been published, are councillors intending to ensure a meaningful community consultation process is commenced that includes both the council proposal and the blueprint to ensure that community and community business beyond those who have a direct financial benefit with ferry operations, who were the majority of people who sat at the table developing the blueprint, that is considered ahead of any development of the community-owned asset, which is the marina, and possible revenue streams to council and community. And if councillors are, when will that consultation commence, given that the blueprint has been published widely and is now known to community?
okay, thank you. Thank you for your question, Mr. Quinney. We will take it on notice and you'll be provided with a response. Thank you. As you know, there's no debate in this section. That's all. Thank you. If there's no further questions, move on. Public question. Agenda item 4 is the planning authority section. There are no reports. Agenda item 5 is the financial reports. There is a recommendation on page 12. Councillor Walker.
I'll move that council receives and notes of financial reports as attached to this report for the period ending 30th of May 2026.
Thank you. Seconded, Deputy Mayor. Thank you. Councillor Walker, do you have any questions?
No,
Nothing?
thank you.
Questions or comments in relation to the financial reports? Anyone?
Yes, I do.
Councillor Churchill? So yes.
I'm just struggling to find my paperwork. Probably pretty normal for me.
I note that Ms. Tucker, the Director of Corporate Financial Services, is aligned for any questions.
Yes, there's in the capital works detail, there's several cases or several points where it's claiming that the work is not started. However, a large component of the allocated funds are stated as having been used. And I really feel that there's about 3 of these on there, and so I'm struggling a bit to find them. But there's 3 of them on there, and it yes, if we go to the marine infrastructure one, it says not started and 20% spent. That's one of them. There's a couple of others somewhere.
Might be one at Woodpark, just back now.
That was probably,
Sorry.
I know there was 3 of them in total. I think they're just errors in the description, but it is confusing for people to read that and try to work out, has the money been wasted? Is it allocated somewhere else, or what's happened to those funds? So that could be just attended to, that detail. I'll find it all for you later if you need me to. But there were 3 examples of it. I think it's down on the hard copy that I
Mr.
can't
Through the
find
mayor, yeah,
Yes.
sorry.
Yes, can
Through the mayor, I was
operate-
just going to say, Rob, I think I can see the few, Harold Street is also another one that states not started but 66% spent. So I do agree. I believe it's a status update error, but I will take that on notice and get those rectified.
Thank you very much for that.
Thank you, Ms. Tuck. Any other questions? In further, put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? Carried unanimously. Agenda item 6 is the section 24 committee reports. There are nil reports this month. Agenda item 7 is the acting chief executive officer's report. At agenda item 7.1, there is a recommendation on page 16. Councillor Walker, thank you.
Thank you. I move that the acting chief executive officer's report for the month of May 2026 be received and noted.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Councillor Edwards, thank you. Questions?
I
Councillor
do
Walker?
have one question. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you to acting CEO, Mr. Shaw. On page 15, staff are now based in Vishnu on Tuesdays, and this will increase council's visibility and strengthen engagement with key partners and community members. Whereabouts are they based when they're in Vishnu? Sure.
We've got various locations, like down the community hall, it's part of it.
Basically there.
Yeah, we've been trying, we don't have many assets in Vishnu to locate people, so we're pulling a few friends.
Yep.
Basically.
Okay, thank you. That's all I needed to know.
I think it's fair to say that having the community engagement officer in Swansea has been a real boon for the community there too, Councillor Walker. So I suspect that this will be equally received equally as favourably, I think.
Yeah, if I may, I think it's a great initiative and looking forward to more with Coles Bay as well.
Anything extra? Anything
No,
else?
thank you.
Councillor Gregson?
Page 14, the so-called communications and media,
Mhm.
the Spring Bay Community Food Hub, give it some details how that's going and where it's located. Exactly, I think it's in Tribunal, of course, and I've seen a van around. Give it explain.
Councillor Gregson, it's in, I can answer that for you.
Yeah,
It's in the main street of Tribunal.
right,
They have been far more successful than they probably anticipated, which is a sad reflection of the current economic crisis that we have not only in our community but right across Australia. That it is a much needed service in the area. The volunteers do an absolutely amazing job there, and I know that they are also having people come from other areas of the municipal area to their hub. It is certainly something that, as I said, was needed. Unfortunately, it was needed.
just for the benefit of people watching and here.
Excuse me.
Just for the benefit of the people that are watching and that are here present, how is it funded, please?
that it's funded through state government and it's not funded through council. It's funded through state government and their own fundraising.
And second, East Coast Catchments Committee, please. Could you expand on that? I've got no idea.
Mr. Shaw, can you deal with that one?
Through Madam Mayor, Councillor Gregson, my understanding of that, that's a committee that's effectively administered through Landscape Recovery Foundation, which is our NRM partner and provider.
Is that sort of it? Is that Mel's? Is it?
So Mel Fazackley is an employee of Landscape Recovery Foundation, and Nigel Kupferman, they're our two key councillor reps. So it's been a long-standing committee, and I understand there were some notable changes to the committee a number of years ago when council made the decision to, I guess, reduce its natural resource management related commitments. But if there are any interested parties out there, the committee is actively looking for new committee members. So thank you for raising the question.
And just through there, right here on page 15, resource sharing, Southern Midlands Council engineer. Is that Mr. Edwards or is he a different contract?
Councillor, please do not ask Mr. Shaw to name officers.
Oh, no, not a no, but I'm just wondering, do we have a contract engineer at present?
That's an operational matter that is not for a question for this forum.
Okay, fine. And just it was a work health and safety dot point under that number 2, reviewed the register of the MSDS/SDS. It's normal if you're going to have an acronym just to spell out the whole term and then put it in brackets after, and henceforth with it goes on as such. Could you tell me what those two are?
Through Madam Mayor, thank you, Councillor Gregson. Yes, you are correct. It would be good practice to do so, and we can make amendments in the minutes. But MSDS is a material safety data sheet, and SDS is a safety data sheet. So the current vernacular is SDS. So one's transitioned into the other, and it's basically the safety documentation that you as a user or a person storing a hazardous chemical or material. That's where all the material, all the information is located in terms of how it should be stored, how it should be used, what to do in an emergency incident, that sort of stuff.
Okay. Thank you. Councillor Edwards.
Just wondering if there's any update on Wallangton Road. I think the one job's finished, is it?
Yes.
And do we have any idea of when?
Councillor Edwards, is this a question for Mr. Sanderson?
Well, it's just listed in this report.
It is in this report?
Yeah.
In the, sorry.
Information reports, works
Notice
projects,
that.
Wallangton Bridge, number 1.
Okay.
That's why I was.
So it's a question for Mr. Shaw. rather
Yeah,
than
but I
for
just
Mr.
thought.
Sanderson.
I
Thank
just
you.
thought Ron might have.
Thank
more
you.
ideas. And do we? I know that we've looked at the quotes on the next development. Do we have any idea of when that may take place?
3rd of August.
Mr. Shaw. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Sanderson.
I'm asking because some of these residents live down
Okay,
there.
thank you. Any other questions, Councillor Walker?
Thank you. Is everyone finished? Because, I mean, I did move it, and if I speak, that means no one can speak. So,
Yeah, I
is
think,
everyone done?
yeah, I think so.
I just don't, it was remiss of me before, I'm sorry if I may, Madam Mayor. On page 14, the Suicide Prevention Network's annual winter solstice swim, and because we don't have the provision to make statements at the end, I just wanted to let everyone know I did it.
Congratulations,
on,
Councillor Walker.
Saturday, and also along with quite a number of the Glenora Spring Bay Council staff members. A fantastic morning, some 102 people in the water, bellowing and splashing around, and it was very cold. My elbows were the coldest because I was holding my cup of tea. So, but no, great initiative, well received, and congratulations to the Suicide Prevention Network. They do a fabulous job for the community, and I expect to see some more of you next year if I'm still sitting in the seat. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Walker. On that note, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? Carried unanimously.
And I did have my clothes on.
When you went swimming.
Yes.
I think that's,
7.2 is the
There you
Director
go.
of Works and Infrastructure, Mr Sanderson's report. Thank you, Mr Sanderson. There is a recommendation on page 20. Deputy Mayor Simons,
I'll move that the Director of Works and Infrastructure Information Report for the month of May 2026 be received and noted.
thank you. Seconder, Councillor Gregson, thank you. Do you have any questions, WE?
No, not at this stage.
Thank you. Any questions for the Director of Works and Infrastructure? Councillor Gregson.
thank you. I'll just start off on,
Councillor Gregson, you're going to have to speak up. I'm sorry.
everything. Okay, but just on page 17, with regard to a footpath, I've got it, and it's to do with Moran Street on the corner of Franklin and Moran Street. It's really damaged badly over works over a number of years, and it's really quite hazardous at the moment, and there's no borderline either. So,
Where do you see that? Sorry.
yeah, it's here. It's with regard to maintenance of footpaths and just the ongoing general maintenance across the municipality, basically, and it's on page 18. And this hasn't been an ongoing maintenance. It's been left for a number of years, and it's got to a stage where
Councillor Gregson, can I ask you, is it related a specific question in this report,
yeah.
or are you introducing more information?
Oh no, it's just a bit worried about the safety of this.
Okay.
But that's all. So I just like to highlight it.
Thank
here.
you. I don't know, Mr Sanderson can answer that because it doesn't form part of his report at the moment. We'll probably have to.
I would have to follow
Take it
that
on.
up.
Notice
Yeah,
and follow up.
and also I just like here's some praise.
I'm sorry.
Here's some praise. It's under parks, playgrounds, reserves, walking tracks, and
What
cemeteries.
page, Madam Mayor?
What page, councillor?
18, and it's got here dot point number 3. Mulching and trimming the public gardens across Orford Trial Run and Spring Beach completed. Now, it's been drawn to my attention as I've been wandering around the municipality that the female workforce within council have done a fantastic job at Spring Beach. So I really like to acknowledge that, and a number of people have also
Thank
noticed
you.
that. So that's and I'm just wondering, with the regard to the new barrier fence along Duck Park, Esplanade, Swansea, materials received. How long is that, please?
Sorry, Mr Sanderson. Councillor Gregson, what was your specific question in relation to that?
Yes, my question is with regard to the new barrier fence along Duck Park, Esplanade,
Yeah.
Swansea. How long is it? And what does it cover, please?
Councillor Gregson, again, that is an operational matter. That is not a question for this forum. Mr Sanderson is not going to have that information in his head in relation. This report is an information report for councillors,
Yeah.
not a prosecution of what's actually happened.
No, it's not.
Councillor Gregson, that's enough.
It says
If you
material.
have the question in relation to the length of the barrier fence is
Yeah.
irrelevant in this forum.
It says materials received, so there's an
Okay, that's fine.
indication.
I get that, but please,
Would council-
no, Mr Sanderson cannot answer that in this forum. It is an operational matter.
I-
Councillor Young, please.
I haven't finished yet.
Thank you.
Excuse me, Councillor Gregson.
I haven't finished. I'll just complete in a minute, please. Thank you. So it feels like I've been cut short, that was all. Page 20, under grant funded, point 1, 2, 3, 4, disaster ready fund, round 4, telling preparing the grant application. What is being proposed under that disaster ready fund, round 4, please?
It's around it's the 4th round of the disaster ready program of the Commonwealth government. It closes on the 1st of July. It's roughly 5.5 million to 7 million for Tasmania, maximum of 20 grant applications to be considered. We're putting up the
doing up the Swansea Recreation Grounds as an evacuation center because the town hall was not appropriate for the last 2-3 times. So that's what we're putting up.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you.
Councillor Young.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. A question through you to Mr. Sanderson. Stormwater drainage, ongoing cleanouts and maintenance across the municipality. There is some work going on, it appears, at West Shelley Beach, leading from a subdivision that appears to butt on to Revan Road and going down to the foreshore. There's been some contention, I think, and some alteration of the works. If Mr. Sanderson is able to give us a report on roughly what's happening and how some of the issues raised have been addressed.
Is
Yes.
Mr. Sanderson,
Yes.
this is the swale drain?
Yes,
okay?
yeah, no, I'm aware of what it is.
Yes, yes.
It's been put a lot of attention. Through you, there was a big protest about a large open swale that has now been piped with a 900 mil pipe between the subdivision and the road. Okay, that has been done. We've received an engineering report just on Friday that verifies that was the right thing to do. There is a swale drain from the road to the path, pardon me, and that does require the rock swale. We've looked at that and we're considering removing some of the rocks and putting in some vegetation to ease the look of it for no other reason. I propose to put a report to the July meeting because there will be some costs to council to make some of these changes because the developer has followed all the engineering drawings per se. So any change that we force or want to do will be a council cost. These are largely cosmetic, the changes that will be made from now on. But basically the big thing is that we have engineering advice. We've acted on that advice and it'll come back to council for any changes in July.
Thank you.
Councillor Edwards.
Through you, Madam Mayor. Two things. Firstly, congratulations on the Coles Bay Blackwater Station progressing. That's something which has been needed for ever. Saves people dumping their cassettes on the side of the road. And I've had some involvement with this with the swale drain, and I think what's been proposed now will be very acceptable. Will be very a good solution to the ongoing problems. At the moment, it looks very, very barren and stark, but I think that the proposed measures will ease those concerns.
I think it's fair to say too, Councillor Edwards, that those people that raised their concerns have been with the interaction between council staff
Absolutely.
and the community out there.
And do you want to call it sides? The residents who are concerned, the developer and council have all been working together really respectfully and well. And I know that the residents concerned certainly appreciate the openness of Mr. Sanderson and of the developer. He's been very good in trying to remediate any problems. So it's been a good
process.
Good discussion. Yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments for Mr. Sanderson? Nothing further. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? Thank you, Mr. Sanderson. Motion's carried. The 7.3 is the report of the Acting Director of Planning and Development, Ms. Natasha Tyler Moore. Ms. Tyler Moore, would you like to join us, please? There is a recommendation on page 2. Thank you. Councillor Walker.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll move that the Director of Planning and Development Information Report for the month of May 2026 be received and noted.
Thank you. Is there a second of those? Councillor Gregson. Thank you. Councillor Walker, do you have any questions for
No.
the Acting Director? No. Any questions for the Acting Director? Councillor Gregson.
Thank you. Through the mayor, I'd just like to ask the director or the acting director with regard to
What page,
cooling
councillor?
towers. Starting off on page 21.
Thank
It's
you.
pertinent to cooling towers. And it says here with the single and it continues on page 22 and just part of the first sentence. With the single cooling tower typical of industrial sized plants providing an efficient means of cooling warm water for reuse on site. And it's got control and monitoring of microbial growth is key with cooling towers.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question.
Yes, no, okay, this is pertinent to this. I was just wondering, and the one of the cooling towers is located at Tassal Tribunal Rendering Plant, which is registered to council. Would that be responsible for the pungent odour that's been emitted just recently?
Ms. Tyler Moore, thank you.
Through you, Mayor, sorry, it's not my field of expertise, so I wouldn't be able to answer the question, and I'm not aware of any of those complaints.
No,
No, so just I've just driven past the last three days. It's really pungent odour.
Madam Mayor, was that a question?
Oh,
I didn't
Yes,
hear it.
No,
I'm
I
just
do.
wondering whether
Councillor
pungent
Young.
odour was associated with the cooling towers. That was all.
Was it a question? I didn't hear it.
Yes, it was.
Initially it was, but the second comment was just simply
Oh,
a
it's a
comment.
statement, is it, Madam Mayor?
Yeah, a statement. Right, councillor Gregson, anything further?
That's fine. Thank you.
Right. Anything further? Questions or comments? Nothing further? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? Carried unanimously. Thank you, Ms. Parlamore. Under item 7.4 is the Acting Director of Corporate and Financial Services, Ms. Tuck. The report, the recommendation is on page 24, noting again that Ms. Tuck is online. Councillor Young.
Madam Mayor, I move that the Director, Corporate and Financial Services report for month of May 2026 be received and noted.
Thank you, councillor Young. Is there a seconder? Councillor Edwards, thank you. Councillor Young, do you have any questions?
I
for
don't
the Acting Director?
want to make any comment.
No. Any questions or comments for the Acting Director of Corporate and Financial Services? Nothing further? Thank you. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? Carried unanimously. Agenda item 7.5 is the action register for May 2026. It is the recommendation on page 26.
Madam Mayor,
Councillor Young.
I move that council receives and notes the action register report for May 2026.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Councillor Gregson, thank you. Thank you very much. I'll put the motion. All those in sorry. Sorry, I thought it was for information. Councillor Churchill, sorry.
I just want to know who is the responsible officer for this report.
I think it comes through the office of the CEO. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Through
Yes.
Madam Mayor, it's coordinated by
Yes.
the CEO's office.
Yes.
We can look to amend the template report.
Yeah, I just
to
wondered
document
who
that
was the officer and who was the author. That was all, because I just think that, well, there's one part in that register that is really tells nobody anything about anything. And there's one line there, I think you'll know which one it is. It's the one on the 28th of April 2026. It actually has my name in it, but it is totally meaningless to anyone reading that report. And I just think if they're going to go in there, they need to go in a form where they are informative or be left out completely.
Councillor Churchill, you might recall that this, if you like, the full report was always in our briefing report, our three monthly briefing report, and it was too long between issuing of them for council to keep track of the various motions and that. And so I think when Mr. Tory came as our CEO, he was the one who initiated this report into the council. So we can certainly take on board your comments, and I know staff will do that. Yeah.
Through Madam Mayor, yes, Councillor Churchill, totally agree. We were myself and my executive officer were reviewing that, and we identified that exact challenge. And what we're looking to do is also use a similar template as what we're drafting for the audit panel as well. We discussed too tracking registers, and it makes sense to have a consistent format across all similar purpose documents. So yeah, good pick up, and thank you.
Yeah, there was a couple of other, Councillor Edwards and Councillor Gregson.
Just quickly through you, Madam Mayor, the sale of Beatty Avenue, Bicheno, has there been any progress on the blocks that were being progressed for sale in Tribunna?
According to this, Councillor, it says the intent is to present a paper for decision making to our July meeting. So
Yeah, this is on Bicheno. I was just wondering if Tribunna will be
Oh.
included in that report, because we had gone away.
Can we take that on notice?
Yeah.
Councillor?
Absolutely.
Thank you. We'll take that one on notice. Councillor Gregson.
Oh, thank you. Page 25, under officers' comments, number 2, the Langford Forest Mountain Bike Trail. Council working through minor amendments to the MOU with Cyril Campbell prior to execution between the two parties. Could you tell me what the minor amendments are, please?
No, they were actually dealt with in a report that we did when we worked through this, and they were issues that Councillor Young had raised during the discussion around it. So it's not necessary for right now. The document in accordance with the document in accordance with the motion of council that the mayor and general manager, or mayor and CEO, were authorised to sign it has been executed and returned to Cyril Council with the minor amendments that were requested by this council.
I'm just getting the impression that the minor amendments would post the execution.
Council,
Is that just can I refer that? If that's correct.
Mr. Shaw.
I'm happy to through Madam.
Sure.
Through Madam Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Gregson. So at the agenda item when it was discussed, some really minor administrative matters were again the use of acronyms without first using in full. One of those did involve the name of a care organisation, so that was clarified. And the other concerns raised by Councillor Young related to the use of the term partner and partnership and derivatives of. Through the legal lens of Councillor Churchill, he was of the opinion that there was questions that needed to be discussed with Cyril Council around the interpretation and any potential liabilities that posed to council. What was approved through that agenda item was that myself and the mayor have the ability to modify and amend, do minor amendments. We presented those suggested amendments to Cyril Council, and between Cyril Council and Glamorgan Council, we agreed that no amendments of a material consequence were required. Hence, we've proceeded, executed the agreement, the MOU at this end, and we're now waiting for Cyril Council to countersign. But that was the extent of the amendments. It was obviously a well-supported document that council did seek independent legal advice on prior to presenting to the council for consideration.
Good, thank you. And the second question is, could you just, it's sort of the mayor, of course, could you just expand on the drafting of the council of expense reimbursement and provision to facilitate?
Councillor Gregson, that was actually an agenda item, and we deferred it to have it redrafted. Is that, if I remember correctly? So it's in the process now, and that was in a council meeting, the last meeting maybe, or the meeting before. I'm not sure.
Just sort of, I just thought you might have had an update on it. That was all.
Well, the update is the drafting is happening. Thank you. If there's nothing further, I will put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? Carried unanimously. Agenda item 8 are the officers' reports requiring a decision. 8.1 is the rates policy. On page 27, there is a recommendation. Councillor Young,
Madam Mayor, I move that council adopts the draft rates and charges policy as attached to this report item, save and accept with the deletion of the item to be found on page 14 of the attachments. Short stay visitor accommodation. Those 3 paragraphs to be deleted.
and seconder.
Yeah, simply.
Okay. Councillor Young, would you
Uh,
like to?
yes,
discuss
Madam
the
Mayor, I
motion?
wish to speak to this matter. Removing my alertness, all the heat will descend. The question of short stay accommodation is a matter that has a lot of social interest throughout this state. And I've thought about it at length. I am in favour of the homeless being housed, and I am in favour of people who want to be able to buy a house to be able to buy one, especially if they can afford it. But if there is a penalty, and there's not one actually noted in the item I asked to be reduced, but it's provision for it to be introduced at a later stage. If there is to be a penalty rate imposed upon short stay accommodation, any penalty on the construction or operation of short stay accommodation will have some adverse effect upon this particular community, especially because a lot of our operations are based on tourism. There are not enough overnight accommodation places where one can rest one's head for a day or so. There is a strong demand, and people need to have a place to stay. And many people come from interstate even to stay in places here, and they rely on short stay accommodation. Now, there is a belief that because some make a profit out of short stay accommodation, and some do, that they ought to be taxed more than ordinary accommodation such as dwellings. But if taxes are imposed upon an activity, that activity tends to be not taken up by many. We need housing. Taxing short stay accommodation won't house the homeless. They can't afford to buy the few extra houses that might come on the market because of the extra penalty. But there's many a person in this municipality or who buys or builds places in this municipality for a shack, and they need the extra money that comes from letting out short stay accommodation when they're not using the shack to help pay for the costs of construction or the costs of purchase. Interest rates are rising. There is some talk they might even rise further.
Councillor Young, can I just alert you to the fact that you have been speaking now for almost full time allocated?
Well, I'll be about
And-
30 seconds.
I'm a little bit confused by your argument, I'll be perfectly honest
Oh,
with you. So finish,
I will make it short.
thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, for cutting me off. The deterrent effect will do damage to our business in this community, and as a consequence, I think it has a long-term deleterious effect. So I'm against it being in our policy. If we want to change the policy next year, I won't be here. let it occur, but here I'm against it.
You, Deputy Mayor, you seconded the motion. Do you wish to speak?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, I was of a mind here to agree with councillor Young in that understand his rationale. But what perhaps I would be a little bit more interested in is some hard data on what it might do to the sector in our municipality if we did increase the cost of doing that business. I'm not sure we have that information at the moment. So based on that, I could see that information, understand it perhaps a little more, because this piece that's in our rates now doesn't change the cost to anyone with short stay accommodation. It potentially just flags to them that their costs will change. I think best discuss it a lot further in a lot more detail, and potentially if it is a good move forward, we would introduce it next year, and perhaps if it's not, we don't introduce it.
Thank you. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Councillor Edwards.
Through you, Madam Mayor, I would like to agree with Councillor Young. I think what's missed in the whole spiel on here is the money that the short stay accommodation visitors put into our economy, the jobs it creates, the opportunity it creates for kids to get a job at various shops and supermarkets and takeaways. And I think we need to get away from the idea of taxing anyone who's having a go. And a lot of these people with short stay accommodation aren't multimillionaires with 10 houses. They're people who have saved up, bought a shack, gone without, and as Councillor Young said, are using some short stay accommodation to help them pay the rates, taxes and bills that they have to pay. And I say good luck to them.
Thank you. Councillor Gregson.
Thank you. I just like, through the mayor, I'd just like to ask all council whether any people in this, on this table have short stay.
As a councillor, no.
No one has it.
I don't.
This, I find the short stay.
Councillor Gregson, if I can say, I am aware that we have officers and state government ministers that do have short stay in the area. But bottom line is it doesn't have any conflict or any bearing on this, because this is our rates resolution. What this motion will have is a bearing on our rates resolution, which is in 8.3, because we discussed this heavily at a workshop, and the policy was to allow us to put a new section in the rates resolution that allowed us to gather the data that the Deputy Mayor has spoken about and perhaps implement a short stay rate in future years.
Right. So just through the mayor, so it would be appropriate at that stage for me to move a motion at that stage.
Sorry.
I propose to move a motion basically, and I'm not quite sure whether to move it here or 8.3.
Well, it depends what the motion is, councillor, and it depends if it's in conflict to this particular motion.
Well, I could move a motion basically.
So you're
Madam Mayor, there's a motion already before the floor.
hang on.
Yes,
Yes, there
right,
is,
yes.
but
I
councillor
can-
Gregson's talking about a foreshadowed motion.
Exactly.
If this one doesn't go through, I think. Is that what you're talking about?
It's good.
Thank you.
So shall I put the motion? Well, foreshadow motion. No.
He already spoken.
Sorry, no, that's true. Not everybody has spoken yet, councillor, so can I just hold that thought
Right.
and we'll go to.
Can I just add a couple of comments? I'll wrap that present time. It's just that with the ratings, the shared accommodation, or what is it, the Airbnb equivalent, basically has residential status at the moment.
It does.
So, and what council did consider is that the share accommodation or Airbnb basically is a commercial transaction. So you've got bed and breakfasts,
Which is,
commercial, hotels, commercial.
yes,
And this is only pertinent to whole of houses. It's not a person who's renting out a room or anything like that. That's irrelevant. So there's a question of equity here, and everyone being basically rated according to either residential or commercial. So I think it's we did propose at a workshop. It wasn't going to go from residential to commercial in one hit. It was going to be in quarterly allotments over 4 years. So I thought that was very reasonable.
and as I recall, councillor, it wasn't going to increase this year either. This was the mechanism to start gathering the data that the Deputy Mayor has spoken about. And for the next council, which whether we'll be on it or not is a matter for the ratepayers. For the next council to consider, and when they do the rates next year. This was simply, in my head at least, a way to get the short stay accommodation into our rates, but with no increase in their rates this year. So, Councillor Churchill? No, yes, you were next, Councillor Churchill. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to state a few facts about this whole issue. Morgan Spring Bay has the second highest number of short stay visitor accommodations registered in the state after Hobart. We have around 450 such premises in Glamorgan Spring Bay. So it is quite significant to us in terms of addressing it as a potential issue. Now, it can be an issue or it can be an asset to council. The inequity and that's been pointed out quite clearly, and which Councillor Gregson also alluded to, is that those people who are providing other types of accommodation are commercial enterprises. They pay commercial rates, they pay commercial taxes, they act as commercial operations. The short stay accommodation that we're talking about are exactly that. They're no different to that at all. And therefore, the equity of the situation should be that they pay equal rates to other commercial operations providing a similar facility for visitors to our area. The amounts of money concerned here, for example, if we were currently using a commercial rate on those premises, on some quick figures that I've tried to work through, it would turn out that we could realistically have had a zero rate rise this year for the entire across the board rates. Not that we've got it yet because we haven't passed it, but that's what we've discussed and that's what's coming to council today. So it would make somewhere in the order of a difference of something like $75 to $100 a year, a difference to our ratepayers across the whole community. So it's a benefit to everybody to have it running equally with other commercial enterprises of a similar nature. I don't think there's anything really to be debated on that point. Whether it actually improves accommodation or not, I have my doubts whether it's going to change it a whole lot. What I can say is that not only are those rates the same as residential, they're also tax deductible to the operator, the same as all commercial components of their operation are. So and we're really talking here of a difference in the first year, if they went up by a quarter, we're talking about less than one night's accommodation difference. I don't think there are many of those operators going to change for that. And if it was full commercial rates, it would represent 3 to 4 nights of accommodation. And I'm talking about pretty cheap accommodation here. I'm talking about $200 a night. A lot of these operators I know are charging quite a bit more than that. I think it's matters of fairness, and there's a whole lot of other things that can be discussed, but these are the things that pertain to our concerns, I believe. Thank you, Mayor.
Councillor Walker.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll just allude to what you were saying. This was a discussion that we had in our workshop. It's not set in concrete. It's not saying that we're actually going to do this. It's just sort of letting people know that this is a possibility. This is something that can be done, and we are talking about it. And it's also because this has actually been talked about for a good number of years on this council, and to capture the short stay visitor accommodation rate. And if we don't have it in writing, it will just disappear again. And one of the reasons why it's put in here is so that it's here for the future of the Morgan Spring Bay Council laws coming on board. It's actually in writing, so it can't be forgotten. It's a discussion that can be had. It's not saying that we're going to do it, and we have to get the data. We can't not have the data. We can't not have the information. It's just there, in my opinion, it's just there to remind the next sitting council what's been discussed. Whether they pick it up or not is up to them. But it's something that a lot of councils are doing now, and it's for their own reasons. And I mean, I agree with the sentiment around the table, but you've got to make a decision somewhere along. With all due respect, I won't be supporting Councillor Young's motion, in the sense that I think it is imperative that this is in writing within for the future council for discussion purposes. Thank you.
Councillor Walker. Councillor Young.
Madam Mayor, may I have a right of reply as the mover of the motion?
Right now, yeah, but
And there'll need to be consideration for Councillor Gregson's foreshadow
yes,
motion,
yes.
which will have to be before.
yes, absolutely,
Before
absolutely, Councillor Churchill. Just I'm trying to get my my process in order here, but I do have a question for Ms. Tuck in relation to it. By removing this from the policy, it's not going to have any effect on the rates resolution at agenda item 8.3. It's only going to have an effect on future discussions around the rates under the policy. As I understand it, as Councillor Walker has identified, it's in the policy to enable the data to be collected for this new land use category. That's it.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, through you, Mayor. The rates resolution does stipulate short stay accommodation is rated at the same cents in the dollar as residential. So if it's to be removed or there's edits to this, there may be requirements in relation to the resolution. There won't be any budget effect though, as these figures have not been factored into the budget anyhow, as we excuse me, as we don't have the data available yet, as sort of discussed previously. So yes, in a roundabout way, the resolution will need amending also to get up to date. But from a overall perspective, no, it won't have a major effect.
Thank you. So that was my question. If we remove this from the policy, then we will have to amend the rates resolution if this motion goes through. then we will have to amend the rates resolution at 8.3 is what I guess is what
That's
I want.
correct, because the policy is basically providing the intent for the resolution and why the resolution is what it is. Yep.
Thank you. Thank you. Councillor Young.
Well, I think Deputy Mayor wishes to say something.
Yeah, I just had a clarification, through you, Madam Mayor. You're saying that the point of this piece in the rates policy is to collect data, but would I be wrong in thinking that it also allows for the increase of rates on short stay?
Not this year.
No, not this year, but next year. Now it's in the rates policy. You would assume that you could increase the rates next year? Or
No, only if the,
I'll go, sorry.
only if the council of the day agrees to increase the rates.
Sorry, could
Yeah.
perhaps
Through the mayor, yes. So what the mayor has said is right. So effectively, we're putting the provision in there, but we cannot dictate, obviously, what could happen in future years. Effectively, that cent in the dollar can remain as a residential rate forever, or they may even get there next year and remove it completely, the same as we're adding it today. Effectively, we can't understand or, get any future data. We don't know what they're going to do next year, but all we can do is attempt to get it in place this year in the hope that then at least next year we can actually run some modelling around those numbers and provide some greater information to council to make that decision.
So it won't affect, as I understand it, it does not affect the short stay accommodation this year. It just is a line item as a land use category under residential at the moment.
Correct.
It can move to commercial in future year elections. Yes. Thank you. Councillor Edwards, have you?
I have, but I just, in regards to what has just been said, Madam Mayor, the third paragraph of the short stay visitor accommodation things says, council intends to implement this rating approach on a stage basis over a number of financial years. So it says it intends to do it. So that is not saying we're gathering the information. That's saying we are going to do it because it says we intend to do it.
Sure.
So that.
But it, as I've said consistently, this is the policy as it sits at the moment, Councillor Edwards. It doesn't necessarily follow that the new council will take. The new council can review this policy in the first 2 weeks they're here and change it.
If it says it intends to implement the rating approach, that anybody reading that would think, well, it's going to happen. Not, it may happen.
Now, Councillor Gregson, you had a foreshadowed motion. What's your foreshadowed motion?
Okay, I feel this is just kicking the can down the road a bit. So I move that council implement a staged increase by 25% per year.
No, sorry, councillor, that's not what we're talking about is the rates policy in terms of putting this. Councillor Young has said that this short stay visitor accommodation paragraph should be removed from the policy. What you are now doing is putting in a rate increase that we have decided, or that in the motion for the rates resolution is not included in it.
So if I want to move that motion, I'll put it in agenda item 8.3. Is that correct?
You could, but it would, yes, we can deal with that later. Councillor Churchill.
Can I put a foreshadowed motion in the case of this motion not being successful, and that would revert to the officer's recommendation as stated in the report.
Councillor Churchill has moved a foreshadowed motion that the policy should.
Yeah, that the council adopts the draft rates and charges policy as attached to this report item.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder for Councillor Walker's?
No.
Sorry.
You don't second. No, sorry.
Oh, sorry. Of course. Thank you.
You don't second that.
Yeah. No, I'm thinking of an
amendment. Yeah.
Yes,
no,
amendment to the motion. Yes. Sorry. Thank you. Councillor
One other,
Deputy Mayor, do you want to
sorry, yeah, just,
close debate on this?
I think it's up to councillor Young to close the
Oh,
debate, but,
okay.
I just had one more clarification. The data that we're saying we want to collect by allowing this to be in our rates policy.
Hmm.
Is that data available without having this in our rates policy? Is that data available to us? Do we need it in the rates policy to be able to collect that data?
Ms Tucker's probably the one to answer that.
Through the Mayor, we could commence actually gathering the information from the Office of the Valuer General without such. I think the intention initially was more so in relation to then provide that provision for future council as well, so they're aware that that code exists and that the perimeters are available to them for amendment at a later date. So to a certain degree, we could capture some information in relation to R7 is what the terminology is used from the Office of the Valuer General. The same as we do with any residentials, we have R10s, R1s, etc. There's lots of different codes that we already capture. R7s, they don't, because it requires council to provide information in relation to permits received or approved. So at this stage, it requires planning department to provide that information to the Office of the Valuer General. I think, like I say, I think the initial intent was more so, which is where the intend word came from, not necessarily as in intending it will happen, but that's the intent of this current council, was to at least try to put a flag in there to say we have now got the ability to check this against the rates resolution now, and we would include that in modelling in future years then.
Ms Tucker, am I right in saying that if we had this in the policy, it gives us a little bit more authority, if you like, to ask the Valuer General? If we say to the Valuer General, we would like this data and it's in our policy, would that give us a little bit more authority to ask for that information? Or
thank you, Madam Mayor. Not necessarily authority. The Office of the Valuer General stance is effectively, look, what council do with rates is council's decision. But basically what they've said is that there's a lot of ruling and I believe I did put it in the motion in relation to what actually would classify as an R7. And that's more in relation to more permanent residency, not somebody just letting out a singular room or doing it ad hoc. But in relation to it giving us more authority, not necessarily, but we could provide that information to say we are now rating and request that you, well, we've got them as a separate rating item. Here's a copy of all the permits we've got on our system to date. Can you commence your research in confirming or denying whether they are existent? So they do a lot of research themselves into they don't just take it by face value. They will do a lot of assessment themselves as to whether they are a current Airbnb
registered,
and then they will provide that information. So.
Just to be clear, they'll provide that information if we ask whether or not this is in the rates policy.
Correct.
I believe so, yes.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So I will put the motion.
I think.
Oh, sorry, Councillor Young, do you wish to close debate on it?
Madam Mayor, much has been said, but I repeat, this policy, if it includes the short stay visitor accommodation, it commits council to implement this rating approach. It commits it. The word's got to mean something. And by deleting it, we're not committed to it. Other councils can change it. This one commits the council.
But Councillor Young, we are not committing.
That's what the word says.
I understand that, Councillor Young.
Intends to implement.
But the
Must
bottom line
mean
is,
something, or is it just
Point
made
of order,
up?
Madam Mayor.
Councillor Young,
Debate.
It is closed.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Councillor Young, will you please let me respond to you?
No, Madam Mayor, point of order. It's for me to express,
Close debate.
you had your turn. You're not entitled to keep speaking forever.
Thank you, Councillor Young. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? Councillor Churchill, Councillor Walker, Mayor Arnold, Councillor Gregson are against. The motion is lost. Councillor Churchill, I'll take your foreshadow motion.
I move that council adopts the draft rates and charges policy as attached to this report item.
Thank you. Seconded, Councillor Walker.
Thank you.
Any debate? Councillor Churchill, do you wish to?
I think we've had enough debate.
We've had enough debate. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Councillor Churchill, Councillor Walker, Mayor Arnold, Councillor Gregson, those against. Councillor Edwards, Councillor Young, Deputy Mayor Simons, the motion is carried. Thank you. Move on to agenda item 8.2 is the budget. There is a recommendation on page 27.
It's the wrong one, Madam Mayor. That's the
sorry.
next item.
They're really different.
I think it's item 8.2, recommendation.
Sorry, the recommendation is on page 31.
Yeah.
Deputy Mayor,
I'll move that council adopts the draft budget estimates 2026-2027 as attached with this agenda item.
that's seconded, Councillor Young.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor, do you wish to speak to the motion? Sorry,
Not at this stage.
not at this stage. Any other questions or comments in relation to the budget? Councillor Churchill?
I just wanted to make a few comments through you, Madam Mayor, if I may.
Certainly.
Council's draft budget for 2026-27 presented to us here today is, I believe, a reflection of good financial management developed to support our community and to maintain core services and infrastructure. The projected income and operating expenses closely align to leave a relatively small operating deficit of $340,000 from an operating budget of 21 million. With the rising costs of doing business and recognising the cost of living pressures on community, council, with the guidance of our financial officers, has set rate revenue increases at a relatively modest rate. Council is continuing to improve its financial position and is now placed in a better position to respond to future economic shocks. However, recent events beyond our control remind us that we need to consider and plan for managing such shocks. We must not be complacent. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Churchill. Any other questions or comments on the budget? Councillor Gregson?
It's my understanding that quite essentially there's been no rate increase.
I'm sorry?
There's been no rate increase here this year because of the increase in the AAV or the land value. So quite essentially we haven't had a rate increase.
We have had a rate
Well, only
increase.
the
with
general.
The rate,
general
the
rate.
rate increase that this council, if the rates resolution goes through in its format, the only increase will be an increase in the fixed rate of $100 that applies to all land use categories.
Yeah.
And increase in the statutory charges for fire levy and waste management,
Yes.
which we have no control over. We collect those for the government.
But as far as the residential, commercial.
Everything, it is a flat $100.
Yeah, that's right, but that's the general rate, that's the fixed rate.
That's the general rate.
Yes,
And there's no increase in the AAB
that's correct.
in cents in the dollar.
Because I'd just like to explain that because there's been an exponential increase in the land value.
Well, not necessarily, Councillor Gregson, but yeah, not necessarily.
We've had a revaluation, as everyone knows.
Yeah.
And that's but essentially.
I'm sorry. You have to speak up, Councillor
No,
Gregson,
yeah,
when you make statements aside, because I don't hear what you say.
That's fine. It's just-
As you know, I have a significant hearing problem that I require people to speak up. Councillor Gregson, is that it for the budget?
Yes, no, that'd be fine. I think the council made up their own mind that they're going to make a decision within the next financial year with regard to the short stay accommodation. So I won't be-
Madam Mayor, is that a
Councillor
question
Gregson,
or a statement or what?
Councillor Young, I don't need to take your point of order. Councillor Gregson, that is completely out of order. Please just focus on this particular agenda item, which is the budget. Councillor Young, do you have questions?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Is it not correct that the waste levy is a state government tax which does not stay with council? It increases in accord with the state government tax increases and we pay it to the state government? Are there not other like charges that we have to collect which are really not rates at all?
That's true. The waste management and the fire levy are those two levies that we've just been speaking of.
Goes to the state government?
They both
Thank
go to
you.
the state government, yeah. The waste levy covers our contribution to the operations of the waste
That's right, yeah.
test waste, yes. So any further, so they are the only two increases that we have no control over. Councillor Edwards?
Yeah, I'd just like to reiterate, I don't know that now or in the next motion, that
Yes.
the council have done everything they possibly can to keep the rates, any rate
Can
increase
I
with that.
say, Councillor
absolute
Edwards,
minimum.
can I say, save that comment till the
Yep,
next
yeah,
agenda
sure.
item because we are dealing with the budget at
Yep.
the moment.
Lovely.
Thank you. If there's no further on the budget, Ms. Tuck, did you want to add anything to this agenda
No.
item?
No, through the mayor, no, not unless anybody has any direct questions for me.
I don't believe so, thank you. I'll put the motion, all those in favour, those against, motion, it's carried unanimously, thank you. Agenda item 8.3 is the rates resolution. There is a recommendation on page 33 of the agenda. And if you recall the rates resolution. The rates, whilst it does say attached to this, I think it actually has to appear in the motion if I recall correctly, because it has to be a unanimous decision. Mr. Sanderson, could you provide any guidance on that? The actual rates, the recommendation is as attached to this agenda item. From years gone by, I've always been under the impression that the actual rates resolution has to be in the motion.
I'm not familiar with that.
No, so we can
I
quite
believe so,
comfortably,
yes.
we can quite comfortably deal with it in accord as attached.
Yes, I believe.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. So, Councillor Churchill,
I move that in accordance with the provisions of the Local Government Act 1993, Council adopts the 2026-2027 rates resolution as attached for the period 1 July 2026 to 30 June 2027.
thank you. Seconder, please. Councillor Gregson, are you seconding?
No, I won't in this case.
Okay, Councillor Walker, thank you. Councillor Church, if you wish to speak to the motion.
Just briefly, thank you, Mayor. There's an increase to all rate classes of $100 across the board, which I think is quite a modest increase. It is, however, it's arguable that being a fixed amount as a percentage increase, if we look at it that way, there is an inequity there. It actually does place a higher percentage increase on the rates of those with less valuable properties than it does with those of higher value properties. So just as long as we're aware of that when we're approached with people saying, no, my rates went up more than whatever percentage, that's the reason for it. And it's explainable. And I think I don't expect there's going to be a lot of complaints having come through what we've come through in the last few years to try to get our financial situation into a much stronger position, which I think, to the credit of the staff and all those people that have made the right decisions, I think we're now starting to see a little bit of the benefit of a few very, very tough years there where we knew that it was going to be difficult for the community, and hopefully now with all of the other issues of survival, keeping our rates without an enormous increase has got to be of some benefit to our community. So, yeah, thanks for everyone for getting us to this condition.
Councillor Roberts, thank you.
I'd like to concur with what Councillor Churchill said with the major increase we will receive is out of our hands completely. It's all government charges. But I will draw your attention to the officer's comments in regards to the motion we just was passed recently, the last one. It says, with the aim for this land use code, there has been revision added to allow the council to set a different rate around short stay accommodation, with the aim for this land use code to eventually pay a rate similar to that of commercial properties. There it is in black and white. It's part of what we're arguing for.
I agree with you, Councillor Roberts. I can't argue with you, but in that the situation is, the incoming council can change the policy.
Exactly.
And
Any way they want to.
what it's stating in here is that we're given a mechanism to do short stay accommodation.
Which we had.
Bottom line, no, we haven't. We have not increased the short stay accommodation rates. Those people that have permits for full home short stay permits will still pay the same residential rate that they have been paying. There is no increase. Ms. Tuck, I've got that right, haven't I?
Yes, correct, through the mayor, yes.
So when it says with the aim for this land use code to eventually pay a rate similar, so that is saying we are aiming to do it. Black and white.
Now I concur.
The moot point.
Okay. Points taken, Councillor Edwards. Any other questions or comments on the Councillor Gregson, then Councillor Walker? Thank you.
I'd like to move a motion with regard to this agenda item 8.3. And the motion was the council implement a stage increase by 25% per year for short stay accommodation from rating from residential to commercial effective from the 1st of July 2026.
Gregson, I'm not totally sure how to deal with that.
That's a point. There's a motion already before the chair.
There is.
It has to be dealt with some way first.
It's Councillor Young, I agree totally with you. The situation is, I'm not sure if Councillor Gregson is moving an amendment to the rates resolution,
Yes.
or he's moving
No, it's an amendment.
an amendment to the rates resolution.
Yes. That's correct.
Okay,
Is there a second?
yes, exactly. Do I have a seconder? There's no seconder, Councillor Gregson, so your amendment to the motion is lost for want of a seconder.
That's good.
Thank you.
And I'm
Councillor
not
Walker.
seconding, I'm just.
No, I get that, Councillor Walker.
Thank you. Madam Mayor, if I may, I take what Councillor Edwards is saying. However, I have a different view of it, and that's okay. Of what I'm seeing, what I think is that we're opening up the option for this to be a discussion for the next council. It's not set in concrete. What Councillor Gregson was trying to do is going to set it in concrete, and that's not an option for me.
No.
But because there's not enough discussion had with regards to the short stay accommodation. You know, we have had a modest rate of $100, you know, fixed general rate for every ratepayer. And yes, you know, everyone's going through interest rates, cost of living and all of that sort of stuff, but so do the businesses. And this is a business. So we do need to collect funds for that. And you know, our costs go up, and I think I say this every year, our costs go up, so we've got to pass those on. Unfortunate as it is, but it's a fact. And I commend all who have worked on the rates resolution, the draft rates policy and the budget for 2026-27. It's not an easy time for councillors, but it's got to be done. That's what we're here for. So again, I commend the staff and councillors for doing their job. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor Walker. Any other comments? Don't recall who moved the motion.
Councillor Churchill.
Councillor Churchill, would you like to close debate on this, or will I put the motion?
I'd just briefly like to say, I'd like to thank councillor Walker for her comments, because that were pretty much what I would have liked to have said myself. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Councillor Churchill has closed debate. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? Councillor Edwards and the Deputy Mayor are against. The motion is carried. Thank you. Agenda item 8.4 is the draft dog manager policy. There has been a considerable amount of chatter, I should say, on Facebook and various other social media platforms. Whilst there is a recommendation on page 33, I am going to seek a motion to discuss before we proceed. Deputy Mayor.
I'm happy to move a motion to discuss the policy.
Agenda item 8.4. Thank you. Seconded, councillor Walker. Thank you. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Deputy Mayor, you would like to start off debate on this, I'm sure.
Good afternoon, Madam Mayor. I would just like to say, as the policy stands at the moment, I think it's become quite clear that it's not acceptable to the community as it is. I think the level of concern that we've seen, and I think it's fair to say all the councillors have received a lot of emails and text messages. Or the ones I've received have shown a very high level of concern about the policy, and that's before it's even gone to consultation. So what that tells me is that the policy is not ready for consultation. I think it needs to come back to council and be workshop again, and it needs to be made into a document that is suitable and that we are comfortable and confident that the public will accept without an uproar or without outrage as to what's happening. There are other things we can say about it, but I'm not going to do that now. But as I say, the intent, I'll be interested to listen to what other councillors say, but the intent would be for me to move that we don't put this policy out to consultation as it stands.
Any other comments? Councillor Young, then councillor Edwards.
Madam Mayor, I was going to foreshadow a motion that the matter be adjourned to the next meeting.
So councillor Young, just bear with me because we are in discussion mode, and that may well be the situation that we end up with without a foreshadowed motion. Councillor Edwards.
Through you, Madam Mayor, I'd just like to say that anybody would have thought I was offering free beer and steak, the number of comments I've had and received on the Facebook thing I put up, just alerting people that this was coming up. I think 45 or 50 comments by now with great concern. So it's as Deputy Mayor Simons has said, it obviously the only problem I have with Deputy Mayor Simons' proposal is we can have a workshop and discuss it and work it out, but I am then going to have to go back to the 45 people who've contacted, 60 plus people through all forms, and get their opinions and their ideas before we come to that workshop. It might be handy if people put their concerns in prior to the workshop, but that could also create a lot of hassle because everybody's very fired up at the moment.
And I guess the situation is, and I'm going to Ms. Tyler-Moore to actually comment on this. The situation is that if we go to public consultation, that will give people the opportunity to put forward that then council can review. So, Richard, any other questions or Councillor Churchill?
I just have a few comments around it. I mean, this process has been going on now for about 3 years with what was probably a well-constituted group of people representing very broad range across the community. There was a lot of work went into it. And they put a draft, if you like, to Parks, who sat on it for a hell of a long time, which has dragged this thing out to almost whatever they planned originally. It's almost been lost into the atmosphere because a lot of those people that were on that committee are no longer even there. Well, lots of things have happened. So, there's been a lot of lost time there. I'm just afraid that if we go through this process of again bringing it back to council, I think it's got to go back to that committee or a committee like that. If it's to come back to council, we're going to get bogged down in this for a long, long time. I would prefer, personally, to see this go out to community consultation now so that we can have 4,000 ratepayers potentially put in their views and all the things that are concerning them. The dog management thing affects all members of the community. There's hardly anyone that you can think of that it doesn't affect, dog owners and non-dog owners. And so, it's got a very broad base of opinions, and a lot of people might want to put in their comments, and those comments then need to be come back and looked at. So I just don't want to see this thing stalled to create another stepping stone for it to get through before we get to basically where we could move forward now. As the result of 4 weeks, we've agreed to take it out to a 4-week period for consultation. I just don't think we should lose that time, or we're going to once again be kicking a can down the road. Thank you.
So, Councillor Gregson?
I'd just like to concur with both the Deputy Mayor and Councillor Churchill. I can understand the Deputy Mayor's sentiments that he's trying to ameliorate a situation that may not be all that agreeable, but I do agree with Councillor Churchill that I've had a number of people contact me by email and phone. Some are of the opinion that this is the final decision.
Yes.
And I thought, no, this is not the final decision. I've also told them last night that it is going to public consultation, and I told them the outlets, different newspapers, etc. And they were quite agreeable to that, and they said, "Oh, thank goodness that we'll get a say." And but I'm just wondering, when there is public consultation, will the names of the people and their complaints or whatever, will that come into council, or how will it be organised?
So, Mr. Tullamore, I need to ask, would you like to elaborate on the different questions that have been asked? Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate all the comments by the councillors and the concerns. There's nothing that sparks more interest than a dog management policy at any council.
Okay.
So we certainly know that it was going to attract a lot of attention, and the consultation component of that's really important. I guess what Deputy Mayor Simons is suggesting is a consultation before the consultation, which is possibly a double up. By doing the process as suggested of going to consultation for the 4 weeks periods, is that we really are capturing and inviting that consultation in a proper process. It's captured, it's required under the Act, and then we can hear that. When we get those responses, then we can collate them, and we get to hear from everyone. Social media is amazing at a lot of noise, and sometimes it's based on not facts yet. So I guess if we do the formal consultation, then we actually have the facts for the public. We'll have the draft policy, we'll have the fact sheets that go with it, we'll have the maps that go with it to help the different people digest it, because the level of literacy and reading plans and so forth varies, and we can assist with that. If we do it in this formal consultation process that we're suggesting, officers are suggesting, then we can do it properly. The risk you run of doing a consultation before the consultation is that people then either get confused about which one's the real one, didn't already write to that, and then they don't write to the second one. They also suffer consultation fatigue, which happens. So that's why we are recommending we just do the proper consultation, we'll take it in. If the consultation comes back with so many variations, well, that's fine, because then we draw it together, we narrow down what they are, or give us the opportunity to give a response or to look at changing it. And then we would obviously have to consult with Parks because they own parts of it. The committee that was formed before, obviously they're invited to be part of that as well. But it just means we move forward because, as Councillor Churchill said, this has gone on for years. It did have to do with resourcing at Parks why there were delays. There was no deliberate reason to delay it. But we're there now. It would be good to move forward and not delay it more. If we don't proceed and go and ask more questions, then I guess how much resource you want to tie up in that. Officers' resource, advertising, have we spoken to the right people? Is it misleading on what it is? Can be problematic. So that from an officer's point of view, and obviously experience in local government of dog policies, I would recommend considering the recommendation.
Just through the mayor, though, how will that data or feedback be basically? Will it be a person's name with their complaint, or will there be a number of complaints with regard to one beach, or how will it be organised, please?
So typically what would happen is we would have an Excel spreadsheet or a spreadsheet, a table, and it does include people's names unless they specifically request that they be anonymous, because that's usual process in local government, and it would have their representations. Every representation we receive will be given to the councillors verbatim. So as we receive them, you will receive it in the form that is received to the council office. And then we will provide a summary of those representations. And we might, depending on what they are, we might do it by area, we might do it by issue, cause, against, neutrals, until we get that data or those representations in. I can't be specific, but it will be presented in a thorough way so people can see it.
And just through the mayor again, I can enlighten something on the Revan Beach. It's in here. With regard to the forecast change, since the time of the document drafting approached by Parks and Wildlife, it has come to the council's attention the ownership of Revan Beach is private, not under the council or Crown jurisdiction as previously thought.
Councillor Gregson.
I can't hear that, Madam Mayor.
I unintentionally caught up with the owners of that Revan Beach, and they explained to me that when you go down to Revan Beach, after that road is public, then it ceases, and then from that point forward, it goes down to the fence, and then it's private. But this is from the owners, basically.
Councillor Gregson,
Yeah,
thank
sorry.
you, but this will form part of the consultation process.
Yeah.
For people to get, and the staff will look into all of that.
Yeah.
It's been raised.
Yeah.
It's been raised here today by a member of the public. So this is in the consultation process. This is all stuff that would be addressed by the staff. So.
Okay, I just was talking about
So.
Madam Mayor,
Yeah,
I haven't spoken. I'd like to.
Yes, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have a particular interest in dog policy. It's a while since I've had a dog, but my wife's been bitten by a dog on a beach in this municipality. I've had complaints about within the last month of 2 large packs of dogs on a beach in this municipality, aggressive dogs. My wife particularly suffers from extensive bleeding, and the last time she had a wound, she spent 3 months going down to the community nursing service, for which she had to pay to get her wound addressed. So I would like a dog policy that's sensible and someone in council employed that actually enforces the obligations that are imposed upon people that use the beach.
Councillor Young, the sad part about all of this is we are charged with the responsibility of the dog management policy under the Dog Control Act by the state government. Unfortunately, they don't give us any money to police them.
Well, why have a policy which we don't enforce?
Yes. Councillor Walker.
Oh, thank you. One of the things that I am hearing and concerned about is that when people put in their representations, will they be listened to?
Mhm.
Are they going to be listened to, and are their concerns going to be taken into consideration? I have a concern about the whole thing. We have dogs, and I put my hand up. You know, not too responsible of a dog owner, but getting better at it. But the problem I'm finding with the whole thing, and this is a discussion, but where can our dogs swim if they, and if they've only got the 15th of the beach to swim in, and they actually go into the bit that they're not supposed to? This is one of the things that I think need to be considered and thought about. But my biggest concern about consultation is, will the people be listened to? And if there is an outcry that this part of the beach, whichever beach it is, whether it's in Vishno or Orford, wherever, is it going to be listened to, or is it going to be overridden? Are their concerns going to be overridden with parks and wildlife concerns as such, and birds like Tasmania and so on and so forth? People are feeling like they're losing the freedom to be able to use what's always been there.
Yeah.
They're losing a
Rights they used to have.
well, that
Yeah.
happened. I mean, I get that this happens. I get that. People are really scared of it. They're losing what they've always had.
Yep.
And people don't like change. I get that. But anyway, that's my concern. But my biggest concern is that, will the representations that come in, will they be listened to? Will they be considered? Thank you.
Ms. Tullamore.
Through you, Mayor, in response to the questions, just noting that today's decision is about it going to consultation rather than the content. I understand comments about the content, but just to make sure that decisions about consultation today. Will the representations be listened to? Absolutely, they will. It's a requirement under the Act. And of course, the officers writing the responses are accountable, because we're providing you every representation that's there, and providing the responses and collating them and giving the balance of the two. So, and again, I guess this is where it comes from when I was making the comments about social media. Sometimes it's just the noisiest voices, and the other voices may not be heard. So it goes both ways. And so I give the undertaking, yes, they will be listened to, and the final decision will come to the chamber. Parks has certain jurisdictions. The Dog Control Act, we can't breach that. So we can't do anything that is in breach of the Act. But within those parameters, of course, the community should be listened to, and those different wants, needs and desires will be balanced for the most appropriate recommendation, and it will come to council for final decision. And perhaps along the way we need to do workshops, or perhaps along the way we have some sections that get re-advertised or redrafted. They are possible. It's not impossible to do that.
And just a little question more. This is not set in concrete.
Correct.
Just getting that out to our people. This is not something that's been done under the carpet. It's not set in concrete. We have consultation. They can have their say.
Madam Mayor, one more thing, I'm sorry. Names of the ratepayers have to be put on the representation. They need not be published, but otherwise you might have someone like me send 500 separate representation from their mate saying, concerned ratepayer. You can't have that. You've got to know from where the name of the complaint comes.
Through you, Madam, just quickly, some of the concerns which I've been receiving, is the month long enough? A month, is a month consultation long enough? Sorry,
Forward.
yeah, which is for a month. Value for semantics. And as I've had this discussion with the acting CEO, it has to be not just on the council website. It has to be on the Orford Shack owners, the Tribunal community, the Bishano, the Swansea, the Coles Bay, every single Facebook page you can find, because none of the shack owners who, when I put the thing on, had a clue until I put something up last night, and then boom, flowing. It's like you lit a fuse. So yeah, so that was just my concern. Is a month enough? I don't know what everybody else thinks.
I think it's important to note that some of the comments on social media created the chatter.
Yeah,
And the situation is very simple. It was alluded to that we would be discussing this dog management policy in a final form. That it wasn't today. I mean, today it was about approving it as we have to under the Act to go out to public consultation. So that's where there's been all this.
Through you, that was my comment to the things all the time. But that's what I was saying. But is a month enough? So that's, I don't know.
If everyone's finished, I'm happy to close it. Everyone's
Yes,
finished.
go for it.
All done, everyone done?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think-
So I just think probably councils have lost their way a little bit with this at the moment, because the key part of this is the policy is not acceptable to the public at this point in time. And that's obvious by the amount of mail we've all gotten in the last 2 days. It hasn't even gone to consultation. So my concern would be that we'll be swamped with comment that will be difficult to understand and to put into columns and to work out what any of it says. I would think it's better to have the policy closer to being accepted by the public before it goes to the public for consultation. I think there's so many gaps in this policy. There's some mistakes in the maps. There's no way of comparing the existing policy to the current policy that's being proposed. People will struggle to go, well, what's happening on my beach? What did I have? I'm in Bishano. I don't understand what happens at Spring Bay Beach. So it'll all be isolated, localised comment. And as we know, and I've seen it in council, people can whip up outrage in a heartbeat. They can get you can get a lot of false negatives come through comment in this type of forum when it's not going to be accepted. There's a lot of, just from what we've received, people are angry about the policy, and it doesn't provide you with good data or good feedback. In that sense, if the policy goes out and it is more acceptable to the public, what we'll get is reasonable and rational comment and information that we can actually use and do something with. We could potentially get 2,000 responses to this the way it's going out.
That'd be wonderful.
Well, it wouldn't be wonderful.
Yes,
I'm
it
pretty
would.
sure it would be wonderful for this time more, because there'll be a lot of them say the same thing, and it probably doesn't help us as a council. I just don't think we should be putting a policy out that will cause so much unnecessary angst within the community.
Can I say, Deputy Mayor, that I believe the angst has only been created because there was a misconception that we were going to approve this document as the final document.
Sorry, Madam Mayor, but that's not what I've been getting through my email. That
it's
not
certainly what I've been
most
getting.
people understand, and I've said to everyone that I've responded to that it is only, this is the part we're doing, and I've also said after that what we should be trying to do is clean the policy up so it is more acceptable, so we don't get the outrage that I'm seeing right now. It's not outrage about us discussing the policy, it's about the policy. So if it goes to consultation, I want to see it go to consultation as a fairly close document to how it should be. There's a lot of changes in there that a lot of people might not even see if they don't take the time to read it or take the time to respond. So there's a lot of cause and effect in all of that. So I'd like to move the initial motion, which was to discuss, and I'd like to move that council reconsider the policy at a workshop within the next 60 days.
Seconder,
Oh, second.
councillor Young. Thank you. No further debate on it.
I mean,
I'll put the motion. Councillor Edwards, councillor Young, councillor Walker, deputy mayor, those against. Councillor Churchill, councillor Gregson and mayor, the motion is carried. Thank you. Thank you. Move on. Agenda item 8.5 is One Cross Street Orchard tree removal. There is a recommendation on page 44. Thank you, Mr. Sanderson. If you would join us, please. Oh, sorry.
I want to move much.
No, you are. So just was what you're thinking, reading.
Sure, there's something better.
Sorry.
That's how we.
Councillors, please, we are still in a meeting and I'm calling for a motion for agenda item 8.5. There is a recommendation on page 44. Councillor Walker, thank you.
Madam Mayor, I'll move that council approves. I can't talk because it's still.
Isabel, Mr. Conley. No, it's no conversation for now, I think.
Now, councillor Walker, thank you.
I'll move that council approves the removal of a large gum tree adjacent to the boundary of One Cross Street Orchard with all costs associated with the removal of the tree being borne by the property owners, and that no works to remove the tree are commenced without approved council work within road reserve permit.
Thank you. I seconded. Councillor Edwards, councillor Walker, you wish to comment?
Yes.
Yeah.
Pretty simple actually, in my opinion. This tree is a little bit very problematic. And beautiful tree, don't get me wrong, don't mind a tree, but there is a place for them, and this is certainly not the place for this tree. And I fully support the recommendation.
Right, councillor Edwards.
Yeah, I would like to, through you, Madam Mayor, concur with councillor Walker. I went and had a look at the tree and I spoke to the property owner and they described a litany of problems they've had with the tree. They've turned up to the home and there's been no water because the mains have been interrupted twice. It's in the sewer. It's all sorts of issues. Agreed, it's a decent sized tree, but it's just in the wrong spot.
Thank you. Councillor Churchill.
Thank you, Mayor. This is not just a reasonable sized tree in the wrong spot. It is a massive tree that was there a long time before the house was ever built. It's a beautiful specimen of a gum tree. I'm not sure exactly what species it is. We don't have an arborist report on this, do we?
Sanderson, do we have an arborist report?
Through you, Mayor, the works manager a few years ago had an arborist go through the trees along in the front of that property. One tree was deemed unhealthy. It was removed. This tree was deemed healthy. So it is definitely a healthy tree. It's a significant tree. So there's no reason that it should be cut down from a health point of view.
Yeah. Okay, so there's a lot of issues here. I believe we should have an arborist report now. It's potential for this. I mean, looking at the space, you can't tell, well, I certainly can't tell from those photographs that there has been or is any interference with anything from the roots of that tree. So, and if there were, the possibility of using an arborist to root prune that tree may save the tree and solve the problem. But we've not established that any problem that's there. What we've said is that there is a problem and there is a tree. So the tree must be the cause of the problem. I don't believe that. I don't think it's logical. I don't think it's sensible, and it's not scientific. So I would like this tree not to be removed without at least an arborist report.
May I comment?
Yes.
the owners have not requested this tree to be removed on the basis of the root damage to their water mains. They want, because council took part of their property over, they now don't have room to put in a new driveway. And this tree, if you read the report, council policy said if an landowner requests to remove a tree to put in a driveway, it requires council's permission. So they're asking, they want to put a driveway in, they're not coming to council because of the root problem. That's just a bit of history.
Can I just ask then, is there actually room? There's a pine tree, as I understand it, at the
Yes.
front of that block.
If you look at the diagram in the
Yes, yes, I've got it in front
you'll
of me.
see the yellow triangle.
Yes,
And that used to be land, and they would have had room to put in a driveway. Since that land is no longer theirs, there's not enough room to put in a proper driveway between the new boundary and the big tree. That's what they're saying. Simple as that.
Okay,
That's all I can, that's their plan.
I just think that other options should be examined then, because I don't know exactly what's along that fence line and where they need, I don't know where their garage is. I don't know where they need to get the motor car. I think we just need a lot more information. I'm not happy to take a tree out that was totally healthy, that is massive. It's been stated to be 40 years old. As you say, there's no health issues with that tree. I'll battle for every tree that I can, because I think there's not enough people battling to keep these trees going that deserve to live there. And if we're going to cut down every tree that becomes a hazard because someone can't get around it, or because it breaks a minor water pipe that could have been removed in the first place, then I think we're going to be going down a pretty slippery slope as far as our environment goes. Yeah, I guess that's all I've got to say about it. I'm not
Have a
happy.
question or comment? Questions? Thanks. Councillor Mayor? Councillor Gregson?
I thought it was the root problem, really. I must have misunderstood that.
It's
It's the driveway.
No, it is under, through your merit. As you notice in my report, it says they have requested this tree be removed to enable them to put in the driveway. And under the policy, it has to come to council. It varies. It's right in the policy that if a ratepayer or the property owner wishes that wants to do that, remove tree to put in the driveway, it clearly states in the policy that it comes to council for consideration, okay? That's what it's for, not for the roots, it's for the driveway.
Yeah, that's right. Just through the mayor. Is there any alternative as far as they are?
Not that I could see, no, it's, no, it's,
If I may, Mayor, in this presentation, we've got photographs of a tree root going under the dwelling. Now, I can't tell what that's from or how that relates, or
through you, that was, I only included that because that's what the ratepayer submitted to council. That's for information of history. If you read their letters, the letter, it clearly says we've had a litany of problems with this for many years. That's all that is.
okay.
What they're actually asking for under the policy is about the driveway, not the roots, okay? If they wanted to come back about the roots, that'd be another, if this is refused, for example, they could come back and say, well, under the policy, it says if there's damage to a dwelling due to roots, then they can come to council and council will have to deal with it separately. That's a different issue.
Councillor Edwards?
And it appears to me, Mr. Sanderson, that if they hadn't given the little yellow triangle of land to the council for the benefit of the road, they would have had access for their driveway. So
That is my understanding.
through that generosity, they've curtailed their own ability to access their own property.
Councillor Walker, I think you moved the motion.
Yes, I did.
Did you wish to close debate? Thank you.
I think it's been,
No, sorry, no.
Sorry, Councillor
it's
Walker?
sort of clearly discussed with Mr. Sanderson's commentary. Look, I mean, I'm not a fan of cutting down, even though my family were loggers way back in the day. you know, I'm not a fan of cutting down trees either, but you know, with this circumstance, you know, it's one tree, and there is a tree just along there that has actually died, so, yeah. But, yeah, no, I'll support the motion.
On that note, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? Councillor Churchill, what do you,
I'm going to abstain. I don't know enough of this.
Councillor Gregson has abstained, the motion is carried. Agenda item 8.6 is a proposed community storage facility in the Bicheno Depot. This is a recommendation on page 47.
Excuse me, Madam Mayor, would you like me to get
Excuse me.
Councillor Young, should
Councillor Young declared, he didn't declare an interest.
No, it's pretty general.
Don't worry about it.
Okay, would
Yeah.
you,
I can,
Thank you for coming, guys.
Again,
Thank you.
I can ask him if he would like to.
just, I wonder if that was possibly just out there.
Would you like to-
Just outside the door.
There's a committee meeting going on.
He's yabbering to the people from.
For your benefit, Councillor Young was absent for the entirety of agenda item 8.5.
Yeah, that'll be in the
Which.
minutes. That'll just be noted in the minutes.
Do I ask him or leave
Ask
it?
him. Did you ask him to come in?
No.
Ms. Tuck, I'm comfortable with you leaving the meeting if that would be better for you. I don't think there's.
That would be
any-
very comfortable for me too, Mayor. I appreciate that. Thank you all.
We'll just note that you've
We
left
can
the
deal with it. We don't
meeting
need his
at
expertise.
4:09. Thank
Lovely.
you.
Thank you so much. Bye all.
Thank you, Ms. Tuck.
What did you say? For the record, Madam Mayor, Councillor Young's advised, this meeting does not require his expertise.
On this, he said, what's the next motion? I said,
Okay.
storage facility, Bicheno.
He's staying out, he's staying out of the meeting.
He's staying out of this part anyway.
Okay, thank you.
Happily engrossed talking to.
Right, we'll note when he returns. Thank you. So there is a recommendation on page 47. Deputy Mayor,
I'm happy to move that council approve the purchase of a new container for approximately $3,500 for storage of community assets at the Bicheno Depot.
thank you. Is your seconder? Seconder, councillor Edwards. Deputy Mayor, just to speak.
Yeah, just quickly, it's long overdue. There's quite a few community groups that have got a fair bit of stuff that needs to be stored in one spot, this would be fantastic for that. Solve a lot of problems.
All right, thank you. Councillor
Yeah.
Edwards.
I just like to say it's a great cost effective, safe way of storing community stuff. It's no brainer.
The other, councillor Gregson.
The storage has been a problem for the certain groups in Bicheno. I'm very pleased that council are going to purchase I'm very pleased that the council are going to purchase the container instead of having given to the Bicheno, whatever association. So I think it's a good idea actually. So
Thank you. Councillor Walker.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm just a little bit concerned about this in the sense that are we opening up a can of worms for a lot of containers or requests for containers purchased for community things. I know of one in Tribunna that a community group that needed a container and they had to purchase their own and find a home for it. So, you know, I'm just I will support it, but I'm just wanting to know, most community groups have to have their own stuff like Lions and Rotary and you know, various other groups need to find houses for their housing for their own equipment. So I do have a little bit of a concern, and I'm happy to be corrected and given more information.
Slightly. Yeah, I think it's probably a concern we perhaps don't need to consider in that I think the one container will store all of Bicheno's community groups' equipment. It wouldn't be like we'd need one adding onto it and onto it and onto it. And that I suspect that's potentially the same in each Swansea, Tribunna, Auckland, maybe. We're just not big enough communities to have to need a lot more.
Yeah,
This holds the beams equipment, this container will, which is once a year, and it'll also hold all the Christmas decorations once a year. That sort of unit's going to go into it, which is all jammed into the tennis clubhouse at the moment as we speak.
yeah.
Nothing further.
Am I able to?
Sure.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you, if I may, Madam Mayor. I fully hear and understand what councillor Simons is saying. But sort of where will it end? If this is a thing, you know, that we're going to be doing for our communities. I get it. You know, storage is an issue, cost of storing stuff is an issue. And all of that sort of stuff, but I'm happy to support it. But just flagging that concern, if I may. Thank you.
Through you, Madam Mayor, if I may. I concur with what Councillor Walker said. I understand your point entirely. It's a valid one. But I will say that I've got a grant application in through council for a 5 bay shed at the Red Grant, which will, if we get it, will solve the storage problems in Orford Clonbunner. Yeah. But it's a valid point of council.
Yeah. Funny.
Agree.
Thank you. Nothing further. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? Carried unanimously. Agenda item 8.7 is a request for events support for James Sector Culture Limited, which is the Frozen Rain Challenge 2026. Deputy Mayor.
I'll move the council approve the event support grant application for $2,000 in in-kind support submitted by Jamset Privately Limited to support the delivery of the Frozen Challenge event 2026.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Councillor Walker, thank you. Deputy Mayor, do you respect to it?
Just the usual, that this is a great event. There's a lot of benefits to our municipality in this event, and it's all been said before, and these people, we're lucky to have them coming back. These events run on a fairly slim margin, so all the little bit of support we can really get back in spades.
Any other comments or questions? Councillor Gregson.
Jamset Private Limited, this is a private company that comes back year after year from 2022 to 2026. Some people in the private sector would say, fair enough, we'll give the private sector a one-off grant for the first year, and then they're on their own. They're part of the private sector. They can look after themselves. Different when it's a community group and everything like that, that's fine. But it's the same people coming back year after year after year. That concerns me to a degree. And also, their last grant was in July 2025. They're applying here for this event grant in June 2026. It's in the same year. So there's a bit of an anomaly there. So you can't have two grants in 1 year, and I'd just like to encourage other people to apply for an event grant that haven't applied before, come in communities. Of course, we're just not getting the same old grant and same old people year after year after year, especially in the private sector. So I will support it this time, but I won't support it in June because they're receiving two grants in 1 year.
Councillor Gregson, Mr. Shaw, I raised this with Mr. Shaw and he did some research in the policy. The policy does not exclude two grants in the same year. I did raise it with him on the basis that I believe last year we did actually defer this particular one to July because it actually appeared, it would have appeared twice in the previous years with community grant funding. There is nothing in the policy that precludes that from happening. And you've made a very good point in relation to encouraging more people to apply. Community events are very important to our sector, our tourism sector, and the businesses. So it is an opportunity time for councillor or for communities to actually apply for grants.
Could we amend that policy to say one grant per year?
Excuse me,
Could we amend that policy, one grant per?
something that
year?
could be reviewed.
Yes.
Yes, could be reviewed. Deputy Mayor,
Sorry, Councillor Walker.
councillor Walker.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. From memory, this was run, and I probably need councillor Simon's memory. The Jamset Proprietary Limited came on board because of their ability to expedite or coordinate and also to be able to gather more other fundings and if just for the benefit of councillor Gregson, the history of Jamset Proprietary Limited.
Yes.
So yes, this has been coming, but I think it's a fantastic event that is looked forward to by not only the community of Coles Bay, they probably really don't look forward to it because they get bombarded with a lot of people. But you know, the challenge people that like to go to these things, they look forward to it, and what it brings to the community is comes in spades. And you don't want to travel home to Hobart on Sunday afternoon because it's a long time because there's lots of big vehicles. But if I could ask Councillor Simons to sort of try and help me out with the history of Jamset.
So thanks, Councillor Walker, and for Councillor Gregson's benefit, just with regards to the giving private companies a grant. We're giving them $2,000. That event attracts a couple of thousand people over 2 days to Coles Bay. So Coles Bay, every business, every person that's in Coles Bay gets a leg up from that event. So it's a very small leverage amount of money from the council's point of view. Jamset took over from local people who used to run the event. They're a company that run multi-sport events all over Australia. And the reason it was passed on to them was because the people that were running could see the logistics of running those sort of events with insurance and all the things that have to come with it has now set the event on a secure footing. And it's also a nationally recognised event. It's not just an event for Coles Bay. It is what there's athletes come from all over Australia to race in the Coles Bay Challenge. And it sets an example for local people. There are so many benefits for a small amount of $2,000 that it beggars belief why anyone would support that.
Just to admit, with $2,000 from the board to our council, it's not really pivotal for the staging of that event, is it?
The event, I haven't spoken to them this year, but I spoke to them last year and they were considering not running the event because it runs on such a fine margin. So yeah, I think it does make a difference. Yeah.
If there's nothing further, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? Unanimously, thank you.
I hope to see Councillor Walker in the event after the meeting at Russell.
It was
I
swiftly.
believe it's floated, I don't run.
Come on, Councillor Walker.
Gender-
Was young, young stage.
Sorry.
Did young
Councillor Young, did you
stay?
abstain from that motion because you weren't here in the room?
We just,
Say it again.
Did you abstain from the last?
I voted for it. I did what the crowd do. I normally do what the crowd do.
Thank you, councillor Young. Under item 9, councillors' motions with notice. There are nil petitions. Under item 11.1, questions taken on notice. There are responses in the agenda for councillor Gregson's questions. 11.2, there are nil questions with notice. 11.3, questions without notice. Councillor Gregson.
So I have a question which is pertinent to the previous minutes. The granting of the extra flagpole, will that?
The granting of the what, sorry?
The flagpole, if that's been approved in
Yes.
court,
Yes.
so there's going to be an extra one. Will the flagpoles, like every other council office, fly the Australian flag, the state flag, and the Aboriginal flag?
Well, that's something that will be decided when and if the flagpole is installed.
Yeah, that's right. And also, I don't know, question couldn't be answered previously, but there's quite a pungent odour come from the sale plant just north of Tribunal. A pungent odour comes emanating from the sale plant just north of Tribunal.
Yes.
The last number of days, Saturday, Sunday, is there a reason for that? And is there any EPA or something restrictions? Because it must be terrible for people.
Again, that's an operational matter and there's very strict environmental guidelines around that staff will be aware of.
Okay, and also I'd like to this is a question that's on I really like to ask another question with regard to the one way in Arnold Street.
The one, what, sorry?
One way in Arnold Street.
Yes.
I asked last time, that's going to be considered. So I'd like to, there was sorry, there was another question.
Councillor Gregson, can you please ask your question?
Yes,
Because-
no.
I can't hear what Councillor
just been-
Gregson said.
I've been sitting next to him.
I had one other question. I can't.
Sure.
Can I get back to that? And I'll let others.
No.
Hang on. What's that? Anyway, that's fine. Thanks. Thank you. I just can't.
Is that a question?
No.
No.
It's a hiccup.
Are there any other questions? Thank you. We'll move on.
It's got to write to the paper again. Because
Move
they're
on.
in today.
Move on.
I don't know.
So agenda item 12 is the closed session. In accordance with the requirements of the local government meeting procedure regulation 2025, the mayor declares the meeting closed to the public in order to discuss the following matters. Item 1.1, request for leave of absence. 1.2, notification of leave of absence for parental leave. 2.1, minutes of the closed session, 26th of May. 3.1, future provision of general practice services, as discussion paper. 3.2, the appointment of the chief executive officer discussion. There is a recommendation on page 56. That's all.
Thank you. I'll move that council moves into closed session at 4:25.
4:25, thank you. Seconder, Councillor Churchill, thank you. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? Carried unanimously. Thank you.
Good.
Thank you. We're just going to have a few minutes.